Is King Arthur gonna get thwarted by an army of zombies and demons? Stick around and find out! My name's Neil. Today, I'm bringing you a review of Ghosts N Goblins. This is from Capcom, it's back in the 80s. This one's for the NES. Ghosts N Goblins is a platformer, it's horror themed, but you're playing as King Arthur in this game. So this is the King Arthur from the myths and legends. You're playing as him in Ghosts N Goblins. It's really harkening back to an old time. This continues the tradition of Japanese developers in the 80s making games for a Western European audience. And that's what Ghosts N Goblins is all about. You start the game and Arthur is chilling out with Guinevere. It's nighttime, they're in a graveyard. He's not wearing a shirt or pants, who knows, he wants to relax, who knows. Now see, this might, in context, this might seem very strange. What are they doing out there at night in the graveyard? But you gotta understand, in olden times, things like this were actually very normal. This wasn't strange at all. But suddenly, out of nowhere, the devil himself pops out of the sky, flies down, and steals Guinevere away. This is horrible. So King Arthur, he's got to throw that armor on, he's got to get going. Ghosts N Goblins, it's a platformer, you shoot projectiles, you know, you're being charged at by zombies, flying demons, a lot of birds actually, but there's all kinds of demons and different animals and things that are attacking you, out to stop you from saving Guinevere. Usually, you know, platformers might be associated with things like, you know, a Mario, or things like a Kirby pink guy. You know, you might think that platformers are easy, but Ghosts N Goblins is not easy. It's not easy at all. It's very hard. Arthur, he has his armor. He can only take one hit before he loses the armor. And then once he loses the armor, he can only take one hit before he literally turns into a skeleton and all his bones collapse into a pile. So death is on the line here. Arthur will die if you're not careful. Arthur can jump and he can shoot his projectiles. He throws swords. He gets other weapons too, but he throws swords as his main thing. That's what they look like to me. They're either swords or spears. Now, how many of these things does he got? Who knows? He's got 100 of them. You know, you can just throw them forever. Does he carry them on his person? I don't know. Or are they magic? I don't know. I don't question what King Arthur does. He's King Arthur. He can do what he wants. But the game's hard. You're jumping over enemies. These are zombies, evil birds and animals, demons, different kinds of imps and cyclopses and demons attacking you. And you're going through these scary locales. You're going through a graveyard, a wrecked shipyard. You're going through like this literal hellscape. All these places for Arthur to go get Guinevere. And I think it's really cool that Capcom chose to make a game about King Arthur. You know, he's the hero of Britain. But it's not just a King Arthur story. It's a horror-themed King Arthur story. So King Arthur, you know, he's not just like fighting the Anglo-Saxons. King Arthur is fighting this army of zombies. That's awesome. I think that's a new take on the King Arthur story from Japan, this horror version of him. And some of the demons, you know, they're kind of more, they feel more like Japanese-themed demons. Let's look at some of the artwork here. This is just the cover. And you can see, we got Arthur here. He's in his armor. He's got his, it's actually, you know, now that I'm looking at it on the art, it's kind of a lance kind of thing, like you'd ride on a horse. But you can see, there's a zombie here that looks like kind of like one of those Japanese demons. It's like possessed. And then you have like a cyclops. You've got some kind of imp right here. You have a dragon. Then you have a flying demon up there. Some guy in a hood. He's like a ghost. I don't know. And then you have the devil himself. And you can see the devil is holding Guinevere hostage. Which this is scary stuff. And there's flames behind them. Ghosts N Goblins, you know, it has a reputation of being a really hard game, like one of the hardest games for the NES is kind of what people know it as. But you know, I played Contra not long ago, and man, I'd say between Ghosts and Goblins and Contra, Ghosts and Goblins is not as hard as Contra. I'd say that's way harder. Which one do you think's harder? Go ahead and post it below. Or what do you think is an even harder game on the NES? Because I think there's some tough ones out there. It kind of goes back to that kids were tougher back then. You know, kids would be getting in fights at school, and then you'd go home and play Ghosts and Goblins. So your whole day was tough. I mean, you were going uphill both ways to school, getting into a fist fight. You didn't even learn anything at the end of the day. You come home, and you know you want to relax with the game. You're gonna relax with Ghosts and Goblins. How tough is that? I mean, kids were just built different back then. That's okay. Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins. It's a Japanese take on a classic European fairy tale. I'd say it gets on the rating system 2 punks up for sure. I love King Arthur. I love old school fairy tales like that, and I love that, you know, Capcom in Japan was willing to go there, was willing to make, take this classic European fairy tale and make it for a Western European and an American audience. I think that's awesome that you know, they had the gall to really do that. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for sticking with me for this frightening and scary game. I was scared playing the game. Be sure to like the video. You got to comment below too. What was your favorite NES game? What game did you just have a really hard time with? Was it Ghosts and Goblins? Was it Contra? Was it another one? What was the hardest game for you? So be sure to comment. Be sure to like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss more videos. Thanks so much for watching. You have a good rest of your day.